Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 1:30 on December 6th. And if you can stand, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, at the moment, we have 8 of 9 of our committee members. The 9th one will be a little tardy, but she will be here. So we've established a quorum. Before I move on, I want to introduce the gentleman to my left. Nick Turner is the newest member of the Chartered Clubs Committee, and I'm going to ask Nick to introduce himself.
Thank you, everybody. I'm a 4-year resident, moved here to Sun City West 4 years ago from Ohio. As you can probably tell, I'm British. I've been in the United States for 22 years. I'm a retired software product manager. I'm a member of 3 chartered clubs, 2 of which are merging. So I've been through the pain of producing bylaws for a merged club, so I know how I can feel the pain a lot of you have been going through. And I'm looking forward to working with the committee and my assigned clubs.
Thank you, Nick. I thought that was an Ohio accent. For the meeting minutes from November 1st, if there are no changes, they will stand as written. Okay, now we have accompaniment. Okay, how many softball players use that as their ringtone? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, we will accept the meeting minutes as written. Thank you. The first item of business is something we tabled last month, I believe it was. There's a 501c3 for the RR&Ps. There's a Chapter 5, the operations. There's a question has arisen that describes what clubs are responsible for in the RR&Ps. And clubs are responsible for a number of things, but the one that has come into question is item F on your page that says clubs are responsible for not allowing individual club member sales transactions involving non-club members on association property. So that means that people members of clubs can't sell their work on association property. This goes along with the whole thing we went through a year or more ago about the IRS tax and putting the association at risk. The question is, does this statement apply to clubs like 501c3s who are somewhat limited, if not entirely limited, to selling their wares? Okay, I'm going to have to ask if you can all turn your phones off. Thank you. If there are certain clubs like 501c3s that are actually dependent upon selling their wares here, for example, tickets, or the case of the Desert Garden Club, they would have to pick up all of their stuff and move if we decide that this applies to them. So I want to ask the members of the committee what your thoughts are on this, to see what you guys think. I'll just open the floor to discussion here.
So what are the legal consequences? It's on. So what are the legal consequences if we say that any club can do it? I mean, I understand that there's a difference in the 501c3 and the 501c7s like the other clubs are. Can we have 2 different rules?
Well, I guess the question is, does this statement apply to 501c3s or 502 clubs, period? So I think we have to establish that first before deciding it. We need a separate rule.
Jack?
We must have thought when we did the RR&Ps that it did apply to clubs, because we spent a lot of time on it. And unless we have some, I don't know, it's confusing, for sure.
Okay. Oh, Karen?
That was the reason most of the clubs applied for the 501c3, because their income was coming from that type of a source, and they were told they could not continue to do it unless they did apply, which is what they did to go along with what they were led to believe would make them legitimate in the eyes of the IRS and compliant with the rec center. So to let them do that and then turn around in such a short time and say, oh, no, we changed our mind, doesn't quite seem like the way to go.
But that's not the question I'm asking. The question I'm asking is, does this statement apply to clubs?
Well, I think this statement does apply to clubs, and frankly, I'd be in favor of eliminating paragraph F for everyone. The IRS regulations prohibit the clubs from receiving more than 35% of their receipts from non-club members. As long as that money is passed to individuals, whether they're in a 501c7 social club or a 501c3, as long as that money is passed to an individual, you're not in violation of any IRS code or regulation. So why distinguish between C3s and 37s?
Okay. Any other comments, opinions? I'd like to hear from everybody. Well, hi, Mary Kay.
In reading this, it says not allowing individual club members. When the club is something entirely different. This is referring to individual club members.
So then you're saying it does not apply to clubs. This statement does not apply to clubs. Okay? Yep.
I can remember a time when I was, way back when I was president of the yoga club, there were individual members of the yoga club that made things like yoga pillows or yoga bags, and they wanted permission to sell them in the yoga classes. Had nothing to do with the club per se, and our answer at the time was that no one was allowed to do that. So I agree with Carol. It has nothing to do with the club. It's the individuals that, it's not the club.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. Judy?
I would definitely concur with what Vicki just had to say. I don't think it has anything to do with the clubs either.
Okay. Connie?
I would agree. Especially with what John said. I mean, if we're not getting violations, abuses, going over that 35%, and we are talking about individuals, I don't see it should be a restriction for the clubs.
Okay. Karen?
Okay, when we talk about individual sales, for example, how would this stack up? We, as Palo Verde Patchers, of which I am a member, I will disclose that, have a boutique which we raise money off of. Individuals put items in, they're sold, the club gets a percentage. It's sort of a consignment type thing, really. Once a year, well, excuse me, once every 2 years at our quilt show, which is that boutique is part of the feature of the quilt show, which is pretty standard with quilt shows. A lot of them do have that type of a thing associated with it. And so it's, you know, the club takes a percentage goes back to the individual who made it. And so that's what I'm concerned about. It is the club, but it's also individuals are involved there.
Well, how do you interpret this statement? Does this limit clubs?
No, but when you specifically say individuals, in other words, were we going from club to individual, or are we just going to overlook individuals entirely by eliminating this? then it's, sales are okay?
No, all I'm looking for is an opinion on whether this statement applies to clubs or not. I'm not opening this up to, let's discuss the whole IRS thing again. I just want to get an opinion on this particular statement.
Jack? I'm in agreement with leaving this out because it's, as it states, the individual club member. It has nothing to do with the club. It's the individual that is selling. So for example, at the wood shop, if somebody made a bowl and they wanted to sell it to somebody, they cannot do it right now on rec center property.
Right, and that's what this statement says.
Right. And that's all that statement says. It does not have anything to do with the fact that the club, like the Palo Verde Patchers have our boutique, the money from that boutique goes back into the club. And that's the reason that the club went and got the 501c3, so that we were able to use that money as income from outside sources. And then it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that we reimburse those members for part of the product that they made. Because the money is coming into the club.
So, but this statement does not prohibit the club.
No, this statement does not prohibit the club.
Agreed.
Okay, is that a consensus? Okay, that's what we got then. Casey, you got that? Okay, thank you. As long as we're on clubs, I want to go over the tax status just as an update for everybody. This is as of October. As of that time, there were 95 total clubs in 7 categories. Is that showing up there? Okay, I'm not going to read this to you then. You can see how the clubs break down. We got 89 clubs that are 501c7s. We got 3 501c3s. We got 6 of those, and we got 1 social welfare club, which is a C4. There are 6 clubs that are 501c3s. So those are ARC, the Broadcast Club, Palo Verde Patchers, the Western Airs, Desert Garden, and Theater West. And then the 501c4 is the Stardust Council, which is an umbrella for Dance Sensations, Music, Photography West, Theater West, and Western Airs. And then you've got Friends of the Library from a scheduling perspective, that they will take care of them. So those are the clubs and their tax status as they exist as of about a month ago. Okay, if there's no discussion on that from the board, we'll move on to the next item. I'm going to turn it over to John Freed, who's going to give an interim report on the Tournaments and Leagues Subcommittee.
Okay. This committee, the Charter Clubs Committee, was tasked back in November of, October.
Yeah, can we use the microphone, please? Speak into the microphone, thank you.
It helps. Thank you. I'll start over. Good thing I didn't get too far. The Charter Club Committee created this subcommittee, and we were tasked to learn what which chartered clubs are conducting or participating in tournaments, leagues, and/or special events, to document how those clubs conduct and participate in those tournaments, leagues, and/or special events, to compare the different methods and techniques by which those tournaments, leagues, and special events are operated, and to consider whether or not any recommendations should be made to the Charter Clubs Committee concerning those tournaments, leagues, and/or special events, including any changes to governmental documents. So I think it's important to understand how we went about to undertake that task. We created a questionnaire, Okay, the subcommittee did. And the questionnaire begins on slide number 3. Are we up to? Yes. And I'm just going to go through briefly the questions that we sent, or that Casey sent to the various clubs. And they're numbered here. The first question was, does your club participate in any of those tournaments, leagues, or special events on or in rec center facilities that involve non-Sun City owner members? And if the answer to that question was no, that's all they had to do. But if the answer to that question was yes, well, then they had to go down and answer the following questions. And you can see that number 2, if your answer to question number 1 is in the affirmative, please answer the following questions. We wanted to know what tournaments, leagues, or special events the club participates in, when during the calendar year those events happen. For each such tournament, league, or special event, the approximate number of non-Sun City West owner members who participate. Does the club charge the non-Sun City West owner members a daily use fee, which I understand is $5 to participate? And again, this is participating on or in rec center property. Does the club have a reciprocal agreement for sharing like facilities at other 55-plus communities in the area? What are the terms of that agreement? And letter G is, does the club participate in any tournaments, leagues, and/or special events on or in rec center facilities that involve owner members and non-Sun City West owner members on a routine basis? Well, those were the questions. And I should say that the clubs responded promptly to those questionnaires. And if we now go to, I guess, slide 7. These are the clubs that answered no to the first question. So these are all the clubs who basically told us that we do not participate in any tournaments, leagues, or special events on or in Sun City West properties with non-Sun City West owners. And so, by far, the majority. The next slide which is 8.
It's the continuation of the previous slide.
Oh, that's true. Yes, it is a continuation of the previous slide. All right, so let's go to slide 9. Okay, these are the clubs that did not answer no to the first question in that questionnaire. And you can see there are 14 clubs. 14 clubs. 12 clubs. Yes, there are the 12 clubs there, and the next slide which is slide number 10, is a breakdown of those 12 clubs and the number, well, those clubs based upon the category that those clubs are in, such as the arts and crafts clubs, card clubs, fitness and dance clubs, hobbies, performing arts clubs, social clubs, and sports clubs. The one club that did not respond to the questionnaire was the Creative Stitchers Club. And we will try to sew that up between now. We try to sew that up between now and the time we make our final report. Okay. Okay, now, starting with slide number 11. Okay. We did a individual slide for each of the clubs that did not respond no to the first question. I'm not going to read through these, but let me ask, is there anyone here from the Automobile Restoration Club? Okay. Well, I'm saying this to you, and I'm going to say it to the other clubs that answered a yes to the first question. Our subcommittee really wants to meet with each of those 12 clubs. First of all, to make sure that the responses that we have recorded on this slideshow are accurate. Okay? If they're not accurate, we want to be told that. If, for example, you found the questionnaire ambiguous and didn't quite know the appropriate answer, we want you to tell us what the appropriate answers are. Because our recommendation is going to be based upon the facts, right? Just the facts, as Detective Friday would say. And so between now and in the rest of December and January and February, we'd like to meet with the individual clubs. We'd like you to talk to your members. We understand that certain clubs have disputes as to what they want to do and what kinds of tournaments and leagues and special events they want to participate in. We want to hear both sides. If there's 3 sides, we want to hear 3 sides. So we want to do that with the Auto Restoration Club, the Bocce Club. Anybody here from the Bocce Club? Yes. Oh. We have somebody from the Bocce Club.
Imagine that.
Club 52. Cribbage Club. Well, for those folks who are not here, we'll reach out to them individually. Horseshoes. Johnson Lawn Bowling. Which goes on the next page, 17. On 18, the Karaoke Club. We want to hear them sing. Mini golf. All right. Pickleball. Okay, good. Good to see the pickleball folks here. I think we have some members of the committee on pickleball too, so we're going to reach out to you and try to pick a date when you can come to these meetings. Now, these meetings are going to be open meetings. We're going to set out an agenda so that even if you're not a member of the pickleball club, but you feel that the pickleball club, for example, has issues that are similar to the softball club, that if our recommendations on the pickleball club are contrary to the kinds of recommendations you would want on the softball club, we would want to hear, we would want you to know that so that we get all sides here. We have no ability to do anything, okay? All we can do is make recommendations. In fact, when I came in this door, I tried to turn the lights on. I couldn't even turn the lights on without filling out a CR-25. So we're looking for the facts. We'll make the recommendations and then let the governing board decide how to proceed. That's all we can do. So pickleball goes over for a couple pages. They have a complex situation. Racquetball, handball. All right. Sportsman's Club. Sun City West Softball Club. Those folks here? Oh my gosh. Welcome. I think back there is the pitcher who struck me out on Saturday. You can leave. All right, well, we want to hear from the softball club. I am a member of the softball club, Lana. And finally, I think our last one here is the tennis club. Any tennis players here? Okay, love to see you. Love, get that? 0, love? Not too many tennis players here. All right, so I want to go to the last slide, which is essentially what I've told you already. Starting, and I think we're going to start in December, the subcommittee intends to discuss with and or meet with representatives of the clubs on slide 9 that participate in tournaments, leagues, or special events on or in rec center facilities that involve non-Sun City owner members, so that we can be assured that our factual investigation is accurate. And by accurate, I mean if a club has 2 groups, one wants to do in a tournament and one doesn't want to participate in a tournament, we want to know that. Thereafter, we have what we believe is an accurate set of facts. We'll compare the different methods and techniques by which those tournaments, leagues, and or special events are operated, and consider whether or not any recommendations should be made to the Charter Clubs Committee concerning those tournaments, leagues, and or special events, such as changes to rec center governing documents, including the RR&Ps and club bylaws. And so having said that, Jack, the subcommittee requests leave to present our final report to this committee at its March 7, 2023 meeting.
Thank you, John, and thank you to the subcommittee for the fine work so far. The original charter that I laid out for this subcommittee was to have a draft of their results by this meeting. What I've learned in terms of working with the subcommittee is that this is a topic that has not been investigated or looked into for anywhere between 30 and 40 years. So we're peeling back a really big onion. So with that being said, I will agree to the March 7th final report that you'll give to this committee. So thank you for that and keep up the good work. Any questions for this subcommittee? Okay, let's go to the next one, which is a report from the ClubTrack Subcommittee.
Okay, we had a similar timeline granted in October to so we were assigned to identify a ClubTrack report from the existing reports available within the ClubTrack software that would be the most beneficial to the most clubs. ClubTrack has been in use now for about a year, and as with any new program, there have been glitches and issues to work out. So we started by having Casey send out a MailChimp survey to all the clubs. We scheduled 3 meetings, assigning similar clubs to attend one of those meetings. We received 45 responses from the survey. 43 clubs sent a representative to one of the meetings. And we are currently in the process of obtaining responses from the remainder of the clubs because we want to have a picture from all the clubs, whether they're using ClubTrack or not. So from the clubs attending the meetings, the report identified as being the most beneficial to the most clubs is the club activity by date. That will the clubs will receive that report monthly in a PDF format. It will be sent to the club president and one other representative, which is designated on your CR5 report. We wanted to make sure that at least 2 people in the club were getting that report. Clubs may also receive a data dump, which is a CSV file that lists all the members who scanned into the club for a specific period of time, so monthly, quarterly, and the dates and times they scanned in. And just a reminder for everybody, because what we found out was a lot of clubs said they were not getting a report, and they were not aware that it comes from a header that says, "Do not reply, schoolvision.net." Doesn't say ClubTrack on it. So it could be going into your spam folder. That was an issue we uncovered. So we had a subcommittee meeting last week and shared the collective information. Katie O'Grady and Casey were there and gave us a lot of additional information, great input and direction. So our next task then is, in the future, we will be asking clubs that if and when there is an opportunity for enhancements to ClubTrack, what would they like to see? You'll start receiving these other two reports January and February as soon as we get the CR5s and get that information updated. You'll have a couple of months to take a look at those reports, see what is beneficial to you, what else you might like to see, and then we will be gathering additional information from the clubs. Our goal will be to present to this committee at our April meeting.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. That sounds great. So as a reminder, this subcommittee was chartered with two tasks. One was to find a ClubTrack report out of the existing set of reports that will go to the clubs, and you heard the plan for that. The other thing that they have been chartered with is to create a wish list of possible future features within ClubTrack. This is not a list that is promised to be delivered. It is truly a wish list. We're using ClubTrack 1.0. We're thinking in terms of ClubTrack 1.2, 1.3, maybe 2.0 with no timeline. But it's, unless the clubs give feedback to the rec centers are just going to have to guess as to what the clubs might want. So this is a chance for the clubs to give some feedback and input so that the IT has a list to work from in the future. So thank you to this subcommittee as well for working on this. The next item on the agenda is 4.03, the request for standard reciprocal agreement waiver from the softball club. And I want to take this time to kind of set everybody on a level set everybody here. The softball club has for a long time had a reciprocal agreement with Sun City, and they've been playing softball back and forth for a number of years. At one point in the distant past, there was a waiver required that would allow the two organizations, Sun City and Sun City West, to co-mingle their players. That's a waiver from a statement in the Sun City West reciprocal agreement, the reciprocity agreement. The reciprocity agreement by itself says that Sun City West may play Sun City West teams made up of Sun City West members may play teams consisting of Sun City members and residents. So that's the standard reciprocal agreement that any club here might sign. However, because of the history of the softball club, at some point in the past, they started crossing the boundaries. They were mixing teams, and teams could have both Sun City West and Sun City members on those teams. And that was handled via something called a waiver. Now, over in the past 20 years, there's a lot of documentation that's been lost due to change of club members, club officers, Sun City West rec center personnel, that kind of thing. So back in, I believe it was October, this committee proposed to offer to the softball club, the Sun City West Softball Club, the ability to move forward. And what we agreed to try at that point, there was a proposal that said that the waiver, the concept of a waiver would be grandfathered. And that's so that we don't have other clubs looking for waivers because we're not in the business of granting waivers. But for this one, we will consider it. And the results, the outcome of that meeting was that the Sun City West Softball Club would hold a meeting and a vote of its members to decide what they wanted to do. There were some other things that happened with this waiver, is that there were some very odd ways in which the thing was administered and handled, so we fixed that as well. So so we're here to discuss the results of that, and what this committee will do is discuss the request for a waiver. We will vote to move it to the governing board meeting this Friday for discussion. Just for the audience purposes, this committee cannot make a decision. The only decisions, only resolvers here in Sun City West are the governing board for governing board level issues or operations management for those operational type issues. Committees, if you're expecting a final and end-all decision today, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That will not happen today. So we will discuss that. At the end of that discussion, I will take a I'll do a roll one by one on whether to recommend or deny the request to the governing board. So that will be our recommendation to the governing board, to either to approve it or to not approve it. So with that, Craig, you want to give us your report, please?
Jack, committee, everyone that's here. My job as president, one of my tasks is to have a vote on our waiver. We did that, and you can see the results. Yes was 114, and no co-mingle 101. And we did this in 4 different sites by ballot. It increased our turnout for our vote from 112 last year to 215 this year, which I think is a success. Reciprocal play rules waiver. As per Sun City West Softball Club bylaws and Sun City West RR&Ps, I'm requesting a waiver to the rule requiring reciprocating teams to be made of residents from community reciprocating with Sun City West to include substitutes. This waiver will allow Sun City West Softball Club to continue with our existing draft in all leagues with players from Sun City and Sun City West on all teams. We will continue to abide by reciprocity rules to alternate playing sites. Signed, Craig Hone, President, Sun City West Softball Club. And with that, we elected 3 new board members by that vote with Nick Mesos, Kay Peterson, and Dave Rick. Any questions of me?
No, I don't think so. Okay, thank you, Craig. Okay, so the question before us is, do we recommend to the governing board the allowance of commingling in the softball club? So who would like to start the discussion?
How many total members do you have?
I believe there were 311, correct me if I'm wrong, 311 in the softball club, Sun City West Club, and 221 in Sun City.
Okay, so 221 Sun City West residents. No, I'm sorry, I got that.
311 Sun City West, 221 Sun City.
Okay.
Jack, I mean, I see a lot of red hats out here. Would it be appropriate that they have an opportunity to present to us any opposition to the motion, or any testimony or statements in favor of the motion?
They will have an opportunity after the committee discusses it. Okay, you can speak to it later. We will, this committee need to discuss it first. This is the way this works. Yes, John?
Well, as you already know, I am a member of the softball club. I play in quotes, I guess, in the over 70 league. It's my understanding that this reciprocal and co-mingling arrangement has been in place since the year 2000. So essentially, it's 23 years. And as far as I know, only recently has there been some dispute as to whether or not it should continue for another 23 years or end when it ends. I found that Sun City West owners have developed friendships with Sun City players during the course of these meetings. They have, they meet during the course of, social events that the club runs. And I know, in fact, that some members meet outside of the softball field to socialize with their teammates in Sun City, and Sun City folks socialize with their teammates in Sun City West. I have not heard, but maybe I will later, I have not heard any reasonable reason to discontinue something that's been successful for 23 years. You think about the field. There are 11 players on the field, okay? There are 2 umpires on the field, so that's 13. There are 2 coaches on the field, that's 15. So there are 15 pairs of feet on the field. What difference does it make whether there are 15 pairs of Sun City feet on the field or Sun City West on the field? It does not diminish the lifetime of the field. Now, if the case were that we would suddenly receive busloads of old-timers from Sun City who pulled their bus into the parking lot at Kunst and said, I want to play on Liberty Field, well, if that were the case, I would say that maybe this commingling should end. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So it's my recommendation that this waiver be granted.
Okay, thank you, John. Anybody else? Karen?
Well, my feeling is there's 2 things we need to consider. Number 1, what is the precedent we're setting for all the clubs if we do this? Number 2, I sat at a meeting here 1 or 2 meetings ago, and we were listening to requests for repairs and different things that they wanted for the field, which is the cost of which is borne by the residents of Sun City West, not by everybody whose feet are currently on the field. And I don't think it's right to expect the residents to pay for expensive costs, expensive upkeep for non-residents to be using the field as a member of a Sun City club when other Sun City clubs who might be trying to beef up their membership in order to stay in existence cannot have non-resident members participate. I think we have to be fair to everybody, but we have to be most fair to the people who are paying for the cost for these facilities. Whether they're using them or not, we're all paying for it, and I think we have to consider that as well, because as a resident, when we use the facility with our individual guests, we're paying a fee above and beyond what we pay in our yearly dues. So I think this needs to be looked at with that light shining on it too.
Okay, Karen, anybody else? Judy?
I have a few questions. First of all, are there any Sun City West members unable to get on teams because of this commingling? Is anybody turned away ever to be on a team who is a Sun City West resident? Is there a percentage of non-Sun City West residents that are allowed on teams, or you just do it? Could you field enough teams or enough full teams if you did not have commingling?
Okay, silence, please. We have to keep order here.
Okay, I guess I'm not sure what the answer is. I hear two different things. Yes, sir.
No,
No?
no, we
No.
cannot be calling on the audience. They will have their opportunity to speak.
Okay. And why did it start in the beginning?
Okay, these are questions that we can't answer at this point. The question we have is before us is to whether or not to recommend. What we've agreed, part of the deal with this proposal was rather than rehashing history and finding blame and fault was to move forward from this point on. So we have in front of us, this is what we agreed. And so we have to take this request as it stands.
Want more information?
Jack, just so I understand this, this is for a waiver about the reciprocity so that the teams can commingle and play with members of the Sun City team, correct?
This is a waiver to the reciprocal agreement that states that each team must be composed only of members from its community.
Correct. So if there is no waiver granted and they continued or they reinstalled the reciprocity agreement, they would still be able to play with Sun City teams playing here and playing there.
If the waiver was not granted, they could still apply for, the Sun City West team could apply for reciprocity and they could still play with their friends but on separate teams.
Okay, then I would have to say that I do agree and will not restate what Karen indicated before, but I would add that without commingling, which the waiver would allow, you still have the ability to have those social relationships with the people on the Sun City teams.
If you're gonna disrupt the meeting, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. If you are gonna disrupt the meeting, I will have to ask you to leave.
Yeah, I just have some questions. Does this waiver assume that the reciprocity agreement's going to remain in place and therefore it needs to be coterminous with that agreement? They both run for the same period?
Yes to both of those questions. The current reciprocal agreement ends in April of 2023. So if a waiver is granted by the governing board, it would end at the same time.
Okay. And that was my next question, is how frequently will it renew? So if it gets renewed in April, will that be just for 1 year? Or?
It's annual, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And is there any financial input coming from the Sun City players here to help support the club and the maintenance of the club?
My understanding is no, but I understand that may have changed in certain areas like supplies and that sort of thing. But
Okay.
no, as I understand it, the Sun City West club bears the bulk of the costs.
Okay.
So do you have a thought on?
My thought is to recommend approval of it, assuming that all the other agreements are in place. My concern is the same as others have expressed in terms of the maintenance and the financial input from the Sun City West community into the maintenance and expansion and improvement of that facility, and its use then by non-resident players.
Okay, thank you.
Jack?
Carol?
I am a former softball player and I'm from a softball family. of both players and officials. I think we have a wonderful program here, and I am fully supportive of reciprocity. However, I don't feel co-mingling is the way we should go. I think that's a disservice to the other clubs who have not been allowed to do this. But if this goes forward, we certainly will be hearing from them. It will become a significant issue, an issue that's even bigger than it already is. And I think, as has been said previously, you can still maintain your friendships, your socialization. You can still play with people from that community, but you don't have to commingle to do it. And I think now that this has become more known to the people who live here, I think there is some dissatisfaction with the fact that so many people from an outside community are coming here and using our facilities on a regular basis. And those people who are dissatisfied are the people who pay the bills. And I think that needs to be taken very, very seriously. So I support reciprocity. I do not support commingling.
Okay, Connie?
I don't think anybody would disagree that this is just a really sensitive topic. We can all very much empathize with both sides of this, of wanting to continue something that is so important to so many members of the club. If you look at the vote, it's almost half and half. I mean, there's only a 13-person difference between commingling and not commingling. So I think we have to look beyond the club at the bigger picture, which has been pointed out. And as a member of the community and you know, others that would be weighing in once they're aware that commingling is an issue, I have to think that clubs would be looking at this and saying, who's going to want to be paying for all the things we're asking for? I mean, we watched softball get turned down on everything they requested. And that had to have been very hard for the club. And I just have to feel that any club who is looking at commingling should also be looking at the fact that people in the community are going to say, well, why would I want to be paying for things when it's for outsiders? And I also think it's dangerous to set this precedent. We've been doing it for a long time. But I think going forward, other clubs who have also wanted to bring in commingling type teams are going to look at it and say, well, just because they did it first and they're being allowed to continue is not fair to us. So again, you know, I agree. I support reciprocity, but I have a hard time supporting commingling at this point.
Okay. Kathy, you
I agree with that.
I'm sorry, one more.
support the reciprocity, but not the commingling. Like Connie said, the vote is about even, and there were almost 100 who didn't vote for whatever reason.
Judy, do you have a comment or anything that you would?
I agree that I do support reciprocity. At this time, I do not support commingling, and mainly because of the financial things that you've discussed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here? Mary Kay?
I'm not quite sure I understand. I mean, if you're going to have reciprocity and you're going to have Sun City West and Sun City teams playing and they're separate, what's the difference if they're playing and if they commingle? I mean, they're the same games, the same times, the same number of people that will be there. If they're Sun City team, Sun City West team, they're still playing. So what difference does it make if they're one here, one there is on from Sun City West and Sun City? And as for paying for the teams, when we go over there, we don't pay for their upkeep on their field.
Please restrain yourselves. or I will clear the room.
Jack, so then what's the point in commingling? If we go there and they come here, why do we need to commingle the teams?
Personally, I can answer that because I played on the softball team several years ago. My husband and I did. And to me, it was a lot more fair because you didn't have to worry about competitiveness against Sun City West. You were just playing one team against the other and having that competitiveness, and you didn't have it between the two cities type thing. I mean, you can go back to high school and have the crosstown rival, type thing. But it was a lot more fun. You got to know more people. You got to know the people on your team versus the other people too. I mean, I got to know more people from Sun City by being on a team with them than I would playing against them. And sometimes a couple of those Sun City people have moved over to Sun City West.
Okay, any more discussion from the committee? Okay, at this point, I'll open it up to the floor.
Hi, I'm Lynn Kellis, 129120. The first question I have is, are the Sun City softball players included in your membership count?
Your questions are directed to the seat, to the chair here. So the answer is no.
They're not, okay. And do you know approximately what the percentage is, Sun City versus Sun City West?
It's 42% Sun City, 58% Sun City West.
But they're not included in membership count?
If you add the two, that's how you come to that. But it's 311 to 221.
But, okay, so for their membership count, they have 311, Sun City has 221. And I'm just thinking about all these charter groups that have had to merge their like the card clubs and whoever else, because they haven't had enough membership. So I just wanted to make sure, or to see if they're included in membership, that's really not a fair deal.
When you come up to the microphone there, please sign in and with your rec card number and state your name and rec card number.
Don't start the clock until I sign in. Ken Skinner, 49513. Softball member, 26 years. Been involved in everything about this club, as you can imagine, being involved. And you're concerned about the money. There's something I'm very proud of Sun City West. You go by that field, you look at all those improvements on the field, the AstroTurf. Since 2002, not one dime, not one penny has come out of the general fund. The club has paid for all of that. We have put in close to $1 million into that field. The club has, through our advertising on the fence and through our golf tournament. We have done that. And then we're here because there was just one or two guys from the club getting up and you were just hearing them. And then again, history in 1988 is when Del Webb gave a field to Sun City and Sun City West to play on off a grant until Liberty Field or Coots Field was finished then in 1988 or 89. We had a field. We were still commingling. The rec centers knew about it. They approved it. And then in 1995, Sun City had their field built, and now we were going back and forth. We play there, they play over here, both places. This is the way it was. And know, to quell your fears, all Sun City West people who applied to play got to play. So, and then we have a letter which he's going to present that gave us our first waiver in 2000.
May 20th of 2000. And you got that, Jack. You should have that.
I have a copy of that,
Yes,
yes.
sir. All right. Is it up already? Okay. Anyway, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm here today as a softball club member and a homeowner.
Your
I am
name,
Dennis-
name and rec card number, please.
I'm Dennis Horvath, rec number 127115. This is my 11th year. If it wasn't for softball, I wouldn't own a home here in Sun City West. I'm a member of the Softball Hall of Fame, the club's lead webmaster, and the chairman of the National League with 108 players. I served for 3 years on the softball board as the treasurer. I am totally in favor of reciprocity and the waiver. Why? With no chance of a second field in Sun City West, when Liberty Field or Kuntz facilities are down for maintenance, we can still play at Sun City. Sun City adds to our player base. This allows for 3 leagues and 10 to 12 teams divided by skill levels, and more importantly, for safety. Sun City reduces our club costs by sharing expenses for a yearly Hall of Fame banquet, a hosting of the Veterans and First Responders Tournament, a charity event. They share website and database costs. They decrease our costs of uniforms and equipment by allowing us to buy greater quantities. We support each other's golf tournaments, raising monies for our fields and clubs. The subject of costs. As treasurer, I worked with the club's longtime accountant Lyle Bakken. The books since 2000 show that neither club has cost the other club one slim dime. Okay? Our cities share a Christmas charity, Toys for Tots. Yesterday, our combined efforts saw 2 busloads of children, nearly 100, all with uncertain or possibly a non-existent Christmas, have dreams come true as each one left clutching a toy. You may all look at us as we're decaying, still wannabe jocks. Maybe so, but I know we see ourselves as a showcase cog in the Sun City West community. When meshing with our sister city, Sun City, it makes the city, our retirements, and our softball clubs more enjoyable.
Okay, thank you.
We are a presence in both clubs.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tony Perillo. I'm here today as a member of the Sun City Softball Club.
Rec card number, please.
Tony Perillo, 138261.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak on the topic of co-mingling, obviously. My wife and I have lived in the Valley most of our adult lives and moved to Sun City West in September of 2021. We had some doubts. We weren't sure whether we were ready for a 55 and over community. But over the past 14 months, the club has offered us an opportunity to build lasting friendships that I'm certain are going to last long beyond the point I play the sport. Because of this, the doubts that we initially had have disappeared. Our club recently, as you know, had the opportunity to vote on subject co-mingling, and while the vote was close, it did narrowly pass. Now, I've heard arguments on both sides, many valid, some not. I've heard some state 42% of the members of the club are non-paying non-residents. Therefore, they reap the benefits of what we invest in Sun City West. What seems to be missed in this argument is that 58% of the members who are West residents gain the benefit from the investments that Sun City puts into their field and their facilities. Now, I've heard that reciprocity is not equal because our field is much better. I've played ball in the Valley for well over 30 years. I played on a lot of fields, and I can confidently tell you that Liberty Field is hands down the best field in the Valley. I can also tell you that Sun City is the second best field I've ever played on in the Valley. So there's not that big a gap between the two fields. As a fairly new member, I'm truly impressed with the way this club operates, the competition it offers, but most importantly, the fellowship it encourages. Because of that, I hate to see the basic structure of the club altered because a few feel it doesn't align with their desires. Most importantly, I'd encourage this charter club committee to make an informed decision. The best way to do that is to visit fields in both locations. I think the Central League provides a great format for you to do that, and I'd invite you to come out to Liberty on Monday and Sundome on a Thursday. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Hi, I'm Bev Berger, 66359. I moved here in 2000. I knew no one. Now, because of softball, I know hundreds of people. I love being on the softball field and playing and associating with other softball lovers. I have managed about 85 teams since 2005. I love helping others. I look forward to and enjoy every minute on the softball field. To show how much I enjoy playing softball and being on the field, I manage all 4 teams that I play for. I am an umpire-in-chief. I umpire. I am the vice president of the softball board, and I'm a member of the Hall of Fame. I have met wonderful people that want to enjoy their retirement and are grateful at our age to be out here on the softball diamond, playing, enjoying camaraderie, and getting exercise. We have a great program and have paid for all of our field expenses. We are self-reliant and have had many activities on the field to provide donations and help other various organizations. We just brought in over $3,500 for the Toys for Tots organization. I am really proud to be a member of the softball club. And I wanted to say that I think if we don't have the co-mingling, we will lose the co-ed league and one of our 70s leagues.
Thank you.
I have a question before I start my statement.
Wait, we need your name and rec card number first,
Sure.
please.
Dick Prestia, my rec card number is 127846. With respect, I would like to request 30 seconds additional.
No,
Separate
everybody gets
matter.
2 minutes.
Well, I didn't start yet. You've got the clock going. Sun City Senior Softball League was the biggest and best surprise for me since moving here 6.5 years ago. I became a manager in the National League about a year or so after joining, have been involved as a manager and a player ever since. The strength of our league is due mainly to the large number of players in the league. Having many players along with a pre-rating system gives us the ability to separate players into 3 leagues based on their skill levels. The ratings are 1 through 9. This helps ensure safe play. However, even with a large number of members, we still have special sessions like summer and 70s and co-ed where we have to mix players 5 through 9. That's not nearly as safe. The first time I heard about co-mingling was when we voted a couple of years ago. The rec center conducted the vote. It was passed, play continued. Now this came up again. We voted to continue vote co-mingling, but here we are today. I think the rec center should have overseen the voting the same as last time. They can make sure no one votes twice by matching card numbers if the dues are paid, and even email if they want to allow email voting. Many members have questions about the vote and could not vote in person because they weren't here. They were not allowed to vote by email. I heard a claim from people that Sun City residents are on committees and boards making decisions for Sun City West residents. That's not true. They're making decisions for the Sun City's Senior Softball League, which is comprised of 2 clubs, one in Sun City, one in Sun City West. I hope you continue co-mingling, but can pass measures to prevent this from coming up again. Our league strength is in our size. The loss of co-mingling will only weaken both clubs. Please don't fix what's not broke, and let's continue to play as always. The Sun City Softball League.
Time is up. Thank you.
Admired, not disbanded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dick Lemoyne, 57820. I've been president 5 times of the softball club, 3 times treasurer. I'm going to come at this from a different angle. We get probably 40 to 50 new softball players a year that are buying houses in this community. My wife, through the local schools, raises hundreds of thousands of dollars for these schools through the tax credit system. These people that get this money get it because softball players are helping them raise the money. I started all this raising money for the club so that you, the rec center, didn't have to pay for things. We paid for our clubhouse. We paid for our new AstroTurf. Somebody wanted new AstroTurf, we were going to pay for that. We know how to make money to make our club not dependent on you. But now you want to break that up. And I have to ask why. There's a group of people, a small group of people, that doesn't like what we're doing. They also are more tournament type players who don't want to travel to Sun City. They want to stay here. And that's okay, but there's a lot of things we do you need to understand, and when you get around to debating this amongst yourselves later, you should look into what we do. I don't think I want to say anything more. If that doesn't turn you on, I can't help you. But
Okay, thank you. Okay, last one.
I'm Jim Kreidler, 121725. I'm the chairman for the Central League Committee. I did a little research last night and found out that the rosters as currently composed are 38% Sun City players in the American League, 36% in the Central League, and 46% in the National League. If you take out the Sun City players, the Central League would probably fold, because if you tried to break up the skill levels that much, you'd end up with 5 or 6 teams per league, and nobody wants that because you're playing against the same people all the time. So what would probably happen is the same thing that happens in the summer when there's less players, and you would take people from the Central League, and they would have to play with the bigger, faster, stronger American League players, and a lot of us are not real comfortable with that. And by the same token, the other half of the Central League would go play with the National Leaguers, and now we'd be the bigger, stronger, faster, and they wouldn't be all that comfortable playing with us either. So I just hope that you don't change a system that's worked well for over 20 years, and it's a system that provides the most enjoyment for the most people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, these are the last two.
My name is David Rigg, 126957. I'm going to give you a little bit of different twist on this whole thing. I moved from Glendale, Arizona as a snowbird in 2014 to Sun City West. My friend Carl Marchetti, who sits back there, is one of the key reasons my wife Jackie and I moved here. Carl plays softball, and I would come to watch the game. Softball was one of the key attractions that convinced us to make the move. I went through the process of going through the green team. I knew then I would be playing games at Sun City, and at the time I could play in the National League and co-ed if I wanted to. Driving to Sun City wasn't then, and it still isn't a big deal. At times I'll make the drive with another club member. Obviously our field is probably the best softball field in the Valley, and the field at Sun City ranks up there against other age restricted communities. One complaint you heard from one individual is that he could only play one game at Sun City West. That is a valid concern, but it's also the nature of living in a retirement community. Fortunately, the clubs are in process of establishing an under-70s league, which will enable those club members under 70 the chance to play in an additional game at Sun City West and Sun City if they are more skilled as the American League players. You will often hear about club members from both communities building relationships. A few years ago, my manager was from Sun City. His name is Lenny Wickets. He and Ken Skinner from Sun City West put together a major surprise for my wife, Jackie. It was her birthday, and between games, I had her come out to home plate under the pretense of singing happy birthday. I then came out, got on my knee, and proposed to her. We could have done this without the involvement of Sun City, sure. But again, over the years, we've developed relationships that expands beyond simply playing softball. Reciprocity has been successful for 22 years. I also ask you give us the respect and consideration that we deserve, especially as an attraction to people that consider moving to Sun City West, as well as the many contributions we make to Sun City and neighboring communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Pam Keiss, 402-401. I just want you guys to, sitting back there listening to these men and women and how much they love their field and what they're fighting for. The reason the field is so beautiful is that's why Sun City West is such a wonderful community. Keep that in mind, but I applaud you guys for the love that you have for that field.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any comments from the committee? Yes, Karen.
I have a question, and I do applaud you for what you have and the camaraderie you have, and for what you've been able to do. Oh, excuse me, for what they've been able to do. But my question is, going forth, since changes have been made to how clubs can raise funds, from here on out, is a significant source of their funding going to not be an option for them?
They will, like all other clubs, be dependent upon the rec centers for their funding.
So that's where, yeah, well, the comments I made were thinking that that was the issue, that not up to this point, but that as a very important aspect has changed.
Absolutely.
And I'd also like to comment that all the things we hear about, their wonderful memories, fortunately for all of us, are true to all the clubs here. We all have special feelings. They've become our second family, and I think that's what's so good about this community. But it isn't unique to one club. It's a feature of all the clubs.
Yes, thank you, Karen. John?
Well, I've listened, of course, to all the statements made by my colleagues on this committee, and I agree that it's important that we carefully look at what costs, if any, of commingling will have on our rec dues. Very important. But we have no background as to whether or not commingling does or does not, or will not, affect the rec dues that we pay. And so it's my recommendation that if this committee decides to end or decides to recommend to the governing board that commingling be ended, I ask that you put another recommendation to the governing board, that this waiver and commingling be extended for 1 year, and during that period of time, either this committee or the governing board or management conduct a financial study to see what, if any, additional costs to the Sun City West community is affected by commingling, and whether or not commingling has any effect or has an effect on the rec dues that we pay for all the activities that we participate in. Because we're talking about money, and if it does seriously impact what our, what we pay for rec fees, well, maybe I would be inclined to change my mind. But I'm not changing my mind based upon speculation that commingling is going to cost us more money. So I ask that that second recommendation be made to the governing board if this committee recommends that commingling be ended.
Okay, so this, to partially respond to that, John, is this, if commingling is, if the board decides to move it forward, it would be in effect and end with the current reciprocal agreement, which ends in April of 2023.
Well, then I would, then sometime prior to April 2023, if this board recommends that starting in May in 2023, that commingling be ended, it's my recommendation that starting in May of 2023, that commingling be extended for 1 year, during which time the board, the governing board, or this committee, or some other organization here do a study to find out the financial impact, if any, of commingling.
Okay, unfortunately, I cannot add that to this agenda because we are bound by the agenda that we have, so I cannot add that at this time.
But I disagree with that. It's well within the parameters of the agenda.
John, I am not going to add that because I'm not allowed to change the printed agenda for which these people came. We can bring that up at our next meeting. Any other comments? Judy?
I'm inclined to change my initial vote after everything I've heard, and I do think that commingling should exist or continue to exist. I also do believe that we should think about what John just said about the future.
Okay, and we can do that at our next meeting. Connie?
So first of all, to the players who got up and expressed your feelings, I'm going to reiterate, this isn't an easy topic for us up here. Well, I'll speak for myself, for me personally. I've gone back and forth on this. I've changed my mind about 10 times. I had a really nice talk with Mr. Rigg one day and walked away thinking, boy, there's just nothing against this because your emotion shows. And nobody has any negative feelings about the club. I mean, I have nothing but respect for the club. But I have to go back in the bigger picture, to who we represent, the clubs, the community. I have to go back to the perception, the precedence, and the equity among clubs. There are others that would like to do commingling. There is another club or more that really has this on their table right now. And I feel like we have to be fair among clubs. So I still have to hold with no commingling. But I would love to see you continue everything that you do at this point. I mean, you're a wonderful club and you do some great things for the community, and that includes Sun City.
Okay, thank you, Connie. Any other last comments?
I very much appreciate what you all have developed over the years. I think it's significant, not only to you, but to the community as a whole. But I feel strongly that some of the other clubs are going to come forward and say, well, if we've been able to bring in outsiders for the past 10 plus years, then we would have those same feelings about relationships and that we want to continue playing with those people. And I think this is the only club at this point that has been allowed to do that. And I think we'd just be opening Pandora's box because we do have to consider all the other clubs that we are here representing. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel.
Okay, last comment, Mary Kay.
If I understand correctly, the RR&Ps allow reciprocation, correct?
They do not.
They do not.
There is a separate reciprocity agreement that is put into place.
Right, they have to get that agreement first.
That is correct.
Okay, so I go back to what difference does it make if they commingle? If they got reciprocity and they've got a team coming over here and playing and they've gone through that and they have a waiver that says they can mix the groups on the same team, to me, there's really no difference.
It goes to the fact that Sun City West clubs are for Sun City West residents. That's what it comes down to.
Right, but the fact that they went through the process to be able to have other clubs come and play with them or against them, if the clubs decide they want to do it as a Sun City team, Sun City West team, and play each other, or if they want to commingle just because they want to be able to play the game, I think, they would have to go through the waiver just like the softball team does.
There will be no more waivers.
There would be, so what we're voting on is,
Is unique to the softball club, and it's only because of the history.
so what we're voting on today is not whether or not they can play softball as a reciprocity with Sun City, it's whether or not they can commingle, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm in favor of commingling.
Okay, I'm going to I'll go one by one. I will ask the question, you'll answer yes or no. Do we recommend to the governing board that they approve the softball club's request for commingling? John? Yes. Carol?
No.
Mary Kay?
Yes.
Karen?
No.
Nick?
Yes.
Vicky?
No.
Connie?
No.
Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, we have a vote of 5-4 to recommend to the governing board that they approve the request for commingling. That vote will not happen at the board meeting on Friday. That will happen at the regular board meeting on the 15th, I believe it is. Is that correct, Karen?
The governing board will meet on the 15th. Can I just clarify, Jan, it's a vote of 5 no's to 4 yeses, correct?
No, it's 5 yeses to 4 noes.
I need to get a recount. I have 5 no's. I have 4 yeses and 5 no's.
Oh, it's the other way around? Okay, so wait a minute. Yeah, let's do it again. My bad. Okay, let's start with John.
Yes. No.
Carol is no. Yes for Mary Kay.
No.
No for Karen.
Yes.
Yes for Nick.
No.
No for Vicky. No for Connie. No for Kathy and. Okay, I had it backwards. Thank you, Karen. So that's 5 no's, 4 yeses. So we will recommend to the governing board that they not approve the request for commingling. I will do that at the meeting on Friday. So sorry about the error, folks.
And the vote, though, will occur on
The vote, yeah, I will discuss this with the board on this Friday, the 9th, but the vote itself will actually happen on the 15th. And with that, are there any other comments from the committee? Any other topics? Judy, any comments?
No, but I do appreciate everything you brought to us, softball, and want you to know that we really do welcome you in Sun City West and appreciate everything that you do for yourselves and the community.
Okay, Kathy?
Yeah, it's nice to see so many people really involved and loving the club. Thank you.
Okay, Connie? Vicky? Nick? Karen? Mary Kay? Carol? John? Okay, thank you, everybody, and it is 2:57. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Oh, you're... Any comments from the audience? Final comments from the audience? Because I'm the chair of the committee. I don't have a vote. I tiebreak. I'm the tiebreaker. Yeah, sorry, my apologies to the audience. No. Okay, you can please quiet as you exit.
Hi,
Thank you,
Sharon
Sharon.
Reddick. I'm on the board of directors. I just had a question regarding your special events. Could you please define a special event for me?
Casey, I'm going to defer to you, a special event.
Because you have clubs who have events.
Right.
And they do have people from out of the area, and they do pay fees. So what's the difference between a special event and an event? Because you have clubs, just as Karen mentioned, Palo Verde Pastures has an event, but they're not listed on your list of clubs.
And that's one of the things that we need, why we're talking to the clubs to find out.
But you're not talking to the clubs that aren't on your list of already having that. That's why I'm asking what a special event is described as.
Jack, can I?
Wait, I want, Casey, is there a definition for a special event?
Sorry. Special event is something that is put on by the club outside of normal activity. So, if you have your normal activity at Palo Verde Patchers at Kuntz, and they do, I know you guys do end of the year luncheon or whatever, that is considered a special event. Meeting is not considered a special event. And to answer the question, which I think you're trying to get, is each club has a guest limitation. So if you have a special event and you're bringing those guests in, you should only be bringing those guests in so many times annually. And with respect to reciprocity is agreement that is an exchange for the like for like. I think everybody understands that. So the reciprocity is completely different from a special event in the sense of guests.
Okay, so then a guest coming to the Zymergy Club for a dance is not considered a special event. Is that correct?
A guest coming to Zymergy, so it depends. Is it, oh, Jackie left?
That's just that's just one example. Or the event that Karen said that they have for Palo Verde Patchers. Is that an event?
That is considered a special event. They have to turn in a CR11, a special form for that specific event.
Okay, so they're not one of your 12 clubs is what I'm trying to get at. There's at least 3 more. Yeah, there's more clubs than that is what I'm trying to get at. When you're looking, it's not 12.
So so we should get back with those clubs. And one of the things that this subcommittee will do is come up with definitions so it's more clear as to what is a special event versus an event.
Thank you.
I'm Sheila Macasack, 123691. I'm here to talk about a program that was very successful, started about 9 years ago, and it was Happy Camp. Happy Camp was participation by the clubs. The rec center got a fee, the daily fee, and the clubs got a small stipend to offset their supplies. But the grandparents in March could bring their grandchildren, and sign up for camps. Like in the meeting, we kept expanding it because it was so popular. During COVID, I get that it was canceled, but COVID's behind us. A lot of us would love to see that program started back up. I have no grandchildren, but I really enjoyed it, and so many people in our B club enjoyed it. But talking to people in other clubs, they missed the program as well. So what do we have to do to get it back on the books? We did not handle the money. Everything came through the rec center.
Casey, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So just like a lot of things, I feel like a broken record. We have a staffing issue. So I was the one that ran it. The second year it was about, which I guess would have been 2017. Then we had it in 18 and we had it in 19. And then fast forward to that C word, COVID, we lost a lot of staff. So now I have moved into a different position. I've gone through 4 different event managers who the events department puts that on. So now we're rebuilding the event department along with rebuilding that ticketing software that we've brought in this year, and still short 2 staff. So.
Well, the program was in existence before 2017.
It started in 2016.
Because it started the year before I became president, and I was president about 8 years ago. And Ann was the name, I can't remember her last name, who started it. However, I see more events for concerts and dances, so I thought, well, if they're doing that, why can't they start Happy Camp?
I did talk to the gals to maybe extend the Easter, so we do the Easter in the park and extend around those weeks to add a few things. It's been talked about. I know you're not the only person that's asked about it, so we've talked about it, but nothing has been put in place at this point.
Well, the background, everything's laid out.
Do I need to sign in again? Or?
Yeah, please state
Okay, Dennis Horvath, rec number 127115. I'd like to apologize for trying to interrupt too early. I don't come to these meetings a lot. But what I'm up here for is to redefine what co-mingling is. Okay, it's the act of interchanging funds. And we quit doing that in 2000. We used to do it. There was a Sun City West Club, Sun City Club, and a Sun Cities Club that was overall. We stopped it in 2000, split the club back up. And that's when we went to the reciprocity agreement with a waiver. The waiver is still in effect today. And I have it right here. That's what I was trying to show you, is that it says the waiver shall continue on a year-to-year basis, provided that the Sun City West Softball Chartered Club takes a vote to reaffirm their desire to continue play in such a combined team with Sun City. So again, it was enacted in 2000. We don't need to vote on it today.
We don't have records of those votes. So it is null. That is null and void.
Oh, really? How do you do that?
We have received the governing board has no record of any votes by the club having done that.
Okay. Well, sorry, that's kind of what I was looking at there. Like I said, to date, we also have not spent a dime, and we are trying to go back to 501c3 so that we can take care of ourselves. And we understand maybe we're standouts at this point, but yeah, 22 years, we're better together. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Larry Ware, and I'm going to do the best I can to read this number. I didn't bring my glasses with me. I think it's 136993. My only point I wanted to raise is that the vote went through not to do any repairs to the field because it was just, I think intermingling might have been the reason why they voted not to spend money on the field. We learned today that the money for the fields come from within the organizations. But even if you had a vote and the people have got to say, hey, I don't play softball, so I don't think we should be spending our money on improving the field. It didn't matter whether it's co-mingle or not, it's just that it's softball versus the rest of the world. So I just wanted people to know that it's not the co-mingling that caused that vote to get not going through.
Thank you.
Hi, just a quick clarification. My name's Tony Perillo, rec number 138261. And I have to ask, what do you think you approved? Because I heard reciprocity and I heard co-mingle. And what I heard you vote on was that we will no longer or your recommendation will be that we no longer co-mingle, but we can have reciprocity. I think that's what I heard. And so I think it kind of, Mary Kay brought this up, and that's why I'd like the clarification. Because what I think I heard was we can continue to play a game a week on the field here in Liberty, a game a week at the Sundome. The teams just must be comprised entirely of Sun City West residents and entirely of Sun City residents.
So what you have right now, and this is part of the proposal that was made back in October, is that you can continue to do as you are today. You had your draft about that time in October. We agreed you could go ahead and do your draft, co-mingle, and that is fine.
And that season will end in January and a new season will begin.
So what we'll do is, so what we voted on today is the recommending to the governing board that they not approve the request for co-mingling.
Okay.
That did not affect the reciprocity.
So that means once this goes through, the next draft would be you have to draft a team entirely of Sun City residents and a team entirely of Sun City West residents.
And they're two separate drafts.
Two separate drafts, fine.
That's assuming that the governing board takes the recommendation of this committee.
Okay, so playing those reciprocal games, a Sun City West team against a Sun City team on Liberty would continue, and a Sun City West team and a Sun City team would play against each other on the Sundome field.
That's correct.
So the only difference is the teams are now not going to be interspersed of Sun City West and Sun City residents.
So I will caveat my statement that the request for reciprocity also has to be approved.
Okay.
It's not automatic.
Okay, all right. And is that approved or denied at the same point?
That's what we will do. We will make sure that they are co-terminate, they begin and co-terminate at the same time.
Okay, so it is conceivable that reciprocity could move forward, but commingling would not.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for keeping me honest. I will adjourn the meeting now. It is 3:11. Thank you all for attending. I tried to keep this one short.